Welcome back again here from St. Petersburg, in St. Petersburg, for the Global Space Explorations Conference GLEX 2021. Our next panel will bring together high-level space leaders from all around the world, both present here in person and also connected from remote, to discuss their space programs with a focus on space exploration. For the audience in the room here, but also for those watching us on the live stream, you will be able to have the opportunity to engage with us in the discussion by submitting and rating questions on the Slido system. Please follow the instructions on the slide on the screen behind me. And let me now hand over to this session's moderator, again the IEF President, Professor Pascal Ehrenfreund.
So, dear delegates, the International Astronautical Federation is organizing also here at the Global Space Exploration Conference its flagship plenary session with the leaders of space agencies and major institutions worldwide. We will have two panels today. That is also because we partly have space leaders here in person, but also remote, and there is also a time difference. So we will have a panel right now, and the second panel will be right after lunch at 2 p.m. here, St. Petersburg time. So we will give you a small outline. The participating space leaders will present and discuss their respective agencies, space programs with a focus on current and future space exploration plans. And after that, there will be some short questions. And as Christian just told you, also you, the audience, can engage and have the opportunity to ask questions to the heads of space agencies and major space organizations with the tool of Slido, and it will be shown on the screen how you can access that. So now let me start with introducing the distinguished panel, which is, as said, partly on-site and partly remotely connected. You can see them already on the screen. And in this first high-level panel, we have a very international lineup. We have with us here in person the Director General of Roscosmos, Dmitry Rogozin. We have the Vice Administrator of the China National Space Administration, Yanhua Wu, who will participate remotely. We have Simonetta Di Pippo, the Director of the United Nations Office of Outer Space Affairs, here with us. And we have Hiroshi Yamakawa, the President of the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, JAXA, remote. And also Dr. Sivan, the Chairman of the Indian Space Research Organization, will join us remotely. And here with us, we have Krzysztof Rochna, the President of the Polish Space Agency, Polsa. And I will actually start with the first, and we will stay on our places. I will just came down here, but we will stay on our different stations here. And I would like to call the first speaker of today, and that is the Director General of Roscosmos, Dmitry Rogozin.
Distinguished delegates and participants, today, Lieutenant General of the Aviation, twice hero of the Soviet Union, and the oldest member of space exploration flights, Vladimir Shatalov, died. Please rise to commemorate Vladimir Shatalov's life and career. Thank you. Dear Pascal, colleagues, deep space exploration and international cooperation as part of these exploration efforts are a multifaceted and complex task. Roscosmos's activities, the current activities and the future activities, are very ambitious in our view. And I'd like to focus on lunar exploration today. Roscosmos is planning an unmanned mission to the moon to study the moon's surface and especially the area around its south pole, the area that is rich in water resources that can be used for further missions. To make it possible, we engaged with Lavachkin Design Bureau and established a team of young and promising experts and designers for this mission. And the fact that it was so hard to do this made us realize something that we always knew, but we realized it for the first time. The technologies, space technologies, live as long as the people who made these technologies live. If you don't establish an engineering school, a tradition of handing over the knowledge from the older generation to the younger one, you will have a gap. And despite the outstanding advancements that the Soviet science did in lunar and Mars explorations, well, we have to make everything from scratch again, because there was a gap, and we need to train new experts, train young specialists, realizing that there will be no one to advise us, because they are no longer with us. They are either dead or no longer active. And this is a bitter lesson that we learned and that we are trying to raise the awareness of among our colleagues from economic branch of the government. When you're dealing with lunar or Mars exploration, you need to keep on researching, you need to keep on working, keep on doing what you're doing, because if something stops, everything would stop. And it's not about some production capacities, it's about the people. And if once you've established a team, you need to keep this team. It's quite clear to everyone here, because we understand it. We people working in the space industry understand it, and we must commit ourselves to that, to continuous improvement and advancement of knowledge. Only this way new school, new design philosophy can be established and further promoted. There can be no gaps, no breaks, no stoppages. There cannot be and there mustn't be such gaps. The first project of this renewed lunar exploration program is the so-called Project 025. By the end of this year, we will have a vehicle that will be ready to launch, and depending on the window of opportunity, the launch window, we will be able to launch it. And this window is, by the way, wider for lunar launches than to orbital launches. It will be followed by Moon 26 or Luna 26 in Russian. It's scheduled for 2024. It's already, everything is already feasible, already designed and made by a team of young engineers and designers, and I wish them every success in their work. Luna 26 is an important addition to the current initiatives and efforts in this area in remote lunar probing, and we cooperate with China on this. Luna 27 is about a large-scale vehicle that will be launched in 2026 or 27 that will be exploring lunar polar areas. This project will continue the exploration of these polar areas that will be started with Luna 25 mission. And it will further promote flight reliability, because South Polar area is different, because the terrain is more complicated there, and we'll do everything possible to ensure a safe landing, lunar landing. Yet it is quite obvious that large-scale projects must be done in cooperation with international community.
Операция полезна тем, что можно использовать аппарат как платформу для того, чтобы она несла большое количество научной аппаратуры. И в дальнейшем обеспечивать контакты, прямую связь научных коллективов, которые будут разбирать
maintain communication with the team that will be doing the processing of the data. Redundancy, technical redundancy is also important. We have an experience of carrying out that kind of international missions, and for example, the experience is performed within the part of the ExoMars project up to 22, jointly with the European Space Agency, and in 2022 we will have to launch it using the space vehicle manufactured in Russia, and then the Mars rover is also European, so it's a complicated and multifaceted work of our scientists. It could have been done within the framework of the task that was shown in the video. There was reference made to the work done by our US, Chinese, and United Arab Emirates colleagues. International mission is more complicated on one hand, because a lot of coordination is needed, but it is easier for the partners. So when there was a crisis related to the outbreak of the pandemic, we faced the disruption of the schedule of the joint work, because the specific enterprises stopped working. People could not work over there, and every day mattered then. And of course we were concerned. There is a delay, but we will accomplish the mission next year. It will be not that easy, and but it is important for the Russian and the European mission to be a success next year. So that's I can only reiterate that it is better to do the complex, large format projects together. We are cooperating with China on lunar program, and it might be automatic space modules, operators, or different projects. And my colleagues asked, what's the purpose, what's the meaning of the partnership with the Chinese colleagues? And I might be blatant, open. The partnership is performed based on the consensus. We do not offer somebody to join our mission. Our purpose is to make it common. And it is very important that all the necessary elements are in place for the equipment that will be 1,000 kilometers away from the Earth. Tomorrow at 1400 at the conference we will have a joint session of Roscosmos and Chinese National Space Administration to present the roadmap to develop the station, and we will talk about the criteria and the principles of engaging international stakeholders. And I'm happy to invite you for this event, 1400 tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dimitri. And our next speaker, I'm calling on the Vice Administrator of CNSA, Mr. Yan-Hu Wu, who joins us remotely.
不用问题。好，尊敬的埃伦·弗朗德主席。
Distinguished President Aaron Freund, Distinguished Director General Rogozin, ladies and gentlemen, and also friends from different space agencies in different countries. It's my great pleasure to join this high-level session for space leaders. On behalf of CNSA and also Mr. Zhang Keqian, head of CNSA, I would like to thank IAF and Roscosmos for organizing this meeting and also for your efforts in establishing this innovative platform for space exploration. 60 years ago, Yuri Gagarin successfully orbited the Earth in the Vostok 1 spacecraft and returned back to the Earth. He was the first man to enter the space. 18 years ago, the first Chinese astronaut, Yang Liwei, successfully entered the space in Shenzhou 5 spacecraft. So far, altogether, we have 11 Chinese astronauts finished out-of-cabin working, on-orbit operation, and also technology verification in space. And this year, China has successfully launched the Tianhe core module of the space station and also the Tianzhou cargo spacecraft. In the recent years, we are planning to launch the Shenzhou 12 spacecraft. And also we have 3 astronauts on this spacecraft to carry out the missions. So we'll finish the construction of Chinese space station in 2022, providing a new platform for scientific experiments for the mankind to explore outer space peacefully. China has successfully finished the 3 steps of orbiting, landing, and returning in its lunar exploration. Currently, we have accomplished the mission of launching Chang'e 1 to 5. And in the future, we also have the plan to further launch Chang'e 6, 7, and 8. Just as Mr. Rogozin has said, we hope that in Chang'e 7, and also including Chang'e 8, China and Russia can further our cooperation in the exploration of space. And also we welcome partners from different countries to participate in this mission. So tomorrow, CNSA and also Roscosmos will jointly organize the Global Network Forum for International Lunar Research Station and will also publish the roadmap for the International Lunar Research Station and also welcome the different space agencies and international organizations to actively participate in this partnership. So far, China has accomplished the launch of the first Mars probe, Tianwen-1, realizing the goal of orbiting, landing, and rovering. Recently, the Zhurong rover has been landed on the surface of Mars and carrying out relevant missions. So, in the future, be it the International Lunar Research Station or the plans to explore Mars, asteroids, or the Jupiter, China will continue to carry out relevant missions. And we will also try to follow the principles of openness, sharing, win-win cooperation with the purpose of strengthening communication and cooperation with all the other nations and to jointly advance the progress in both space science as well as social and economic development. Last but not least, I wish the Global Space Exploration Conference a full success. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this interesting program and also wishing us success. We are very happy to be here in St. Petersburg, but also very happy to have you on board remotely. So I would like now to give the word to Simonetta Di Pippa, the Director of the United Nations Office of Outer Space Affairs.
Well, thank you very much for the floor. It's really a pleasure for me to share this opportunity with such distinguished panelists. Well, indeed, we heard that already. We are living in exciting times for the global space sector. Clearly, we see that the industry is elevating itself to another level, sparking innovation and opening new chapters in the peaceful uses of outer space. And as we jointly cross this new frontier, stakeholders are investing an unprecedented amount of political, economic, and human capital into space affairs. And only in the last 10 years, for example, the list of countries that have historically operated at least one satellite has grown by over 70%. And as more and more nations establish space agencies, the growing utilization of space for economic growth, addressing local, national, and global challenges, and sustainable development promises really a brighter future. In the end, space assets are a game changer and critical tools for modern society. I'm also excited that we are back on track in exploration effort. It is great to see again the headlines about missions to the Moon, Mars, and beyond soon. And this time, exploration efforts are of a different nature. We see an increasing demand for international cooperation and new energy to build partnerships. And there is no better way towards progress than working together. And I'm thrilled that the current plans extend much beyond government-led collaboration. The private sector, academia, civil society, all are integral to the success in stretching the boundaries of humanity, knowledge, and potential. Representing here the perspective of the United Nations, I applaud such developments as advancing international cooperation sits at the core of our mandates. All in all, I believe it is no exaggeration to say that the buy-in levels of commitment in space affairs have never been higher. But as ambitious as different projects are, they all must abide by the existing rulebook guiding behavior in an environment that is the province of all humankind. Yet in some instances, the current provisions might fall short of the necessary depth. And this is where proactive multilateralism steps in. And at the UN, in particular at the UN in Vienna, we see the growing interest in such an approach from the first row. The Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space keeps expanding its membership and solidifies its position as the main intergovernmental platform for addressing new developments and challenges in space. And we at the Office for Outer Space Affairs, we complement these efforts by convening the broader space community through the World Space Forum and other events to collect ideas, views, and recommendations on the best way forward. So please join us in all our events because we really want to listen to your ideas and recommendations. A bright future is ahead of us in space exploration, but it must be one driven by responsibility and sustainability. Only so we can prosper today and thrive tomorrow. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Simonetta, for this plea also to work together internationally in these big, large-scale space exploration endeavors. And the next speaker, I will call on Hiroshi Yamakawa, President of JAXA. Hiroshi, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you. Dr. Ehrenfreud, Mr. Rogozin, and distinguished guests, it's a great pleasure to see you online. I'm Hiroshi Yamakawa, the President of JAXA. It is my honor to participate in such a special session today, and thank you for providing me with the opportunity to join remotely. Now, I would like to talk about Japan's activities and prospects for space exploration. First, I would like to briefly introduce JAXA's asteroid explorer, Hayabusa 2. Hayabusa 2 spacecraft returned to the Earth at the end of last year after successfully touching down on the surface of the asteroid Ryugu and collecting samples. This mission demonstrated advanced automatic and autonomous approach, landing, and sample return technologies. Curation of the acquired samples is in progress, and we plan to issue an international call for the analytical research concerning these samples next year. We hope that the analysis of the samples will contribute to studies on the formation process of planets and the origin of life. Now, I would like to introduce JAXA's activities on the moon exploration, lunar exploration. Well, Japan has joined the US-led Artemis program, and it is looking into contributing to this program by providing life support systems for the gateway and by transporting supplies via the HTV-X vehicle. JAXA is working on the following missions to enable sustainable exploration activities on the moon. The first mission is Omotenashi, the world's smallest spacecraft that aims to land on the moon. This 6U-sized microsatellite is scheduled to be launched at the end of this year aboard NASA's Artemis 1 rocket. Second mission is the development of SLIM, SLIM, a small lunar lander that aims to achieve a precise, safe, and pinpoint landing with an error margin of less than 100 meters at the desired landing point. Then there is a lunar polar exploration mission conducted in collaboration with ISRO, landing an unmanned rover to investigate water resources on the moon. Finally, as means of transportation to support sustainable exploration activities, we are conducting a joint research on crewed pressurized rover with an automobile company. Using the technologies and know-how accumulated through these activities, we aim to realize manned lunar activities. Based on the technology and experience acquired through the Hayabusa family of missions, JAXA is also aiming to return samples from the Martian moon, Phobos, in 2029 through the International Joint MMX mission. By doing so, we expect to acquire technologies needed to travel to and return from the Martian sphere, as well as advanced sampling techniques to be demonstrated on the surface of the celestial body. JAXA is also promoting scientific exploration on other planets. Venus Climate Orbiter Akatsuki has continued to acquire data for the study of the Venusian atmosphere for over 6 years already. Talking about Mercury Magnetospheric Orbiter, MEO, which is a part of the joint project Bepicolombo with European Space Agency, is on its journey to reach Mercury in 2025. It succeeded in jointly observing Venus together with Akatsuki and the Planet Observatory Hisaki, or Sprint A, during the Venus Swing-By last October. Today, the human race is expanding its realm of challenges from the low Earth orbit to the deep space. The creation of new knowledge and the expansion of human sphere of activities will contribute to the sustainable development of humankind. With international cooperation, I hope to advance this great challenge in the most effective and efficient manner. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yamakawa, and seeing an update about the journeys through the solar system of JAXA. Thank you very much. The next speaker will be Dr. Sivan, Chairman of the Indian Space Research Organization, which will also join us remotely.
Dear distinguished delegates and fellow panelists, greetings from ISRO. I am extremely happy to participate in this event organized by International Astronautical Federation and Roscosmos in commemoration of 60th anniversary of Yuri Gagarin spaceflight. Space science and exploration is an important element of Indian space program. ISRO has always encouraged international cooperation in all its space science missions. ISRO's maiden mission to Moon, Chandrayaan-1, carried 6 instruments from other nations and is credited with the discovery of water molecules on lunar surface. ISRO succeeded in its first attempt to put a spacecraft in Martian orbit through the Mars Orbital Mission launched in 2013, and it still continues to provide data on Martian surface and atmosphere. Astronaut spacecraft is India's first multi-wavelength observatory in space, launched in 2015, and is providing excellent observations of galaxies, stars, nebulas in the distant universe. Chandrayaan-2 orbiter, launched in 2019, is providing excellent data on Moon's atmosphere, topography, and mineralogy. Data from all these missions have been widely used globally for bringing out publications with invaluable science results, helping us to push the envelope of knowledge in our understanding of the universe. Next slide, please. We are keen on chalking out our own vision for space science missions. We have chalked out a long roadmap of our space exploration missions, where we will actively encourage international participation. The upcoming Chandrayaan-3 mission is having the novelty of landing in high-latitude lunar region, which holds immense scientific interest. Aditya is the first mission to study Sun in Sun Lagrangian point L1. Follow mission to explore Mars and the first mission to Venus are in the pipeline. ISRO is also working with JAXA for a joint lunar polar exploration mission with lander rover. Next slide, please. Gaganyaan, India's first spaceflight endeavor, is the ambitious program announced by our Honorable Prime Minister of India. We have the target to demonstrate human spaceflight capabilities by 75th anniversary of India's independence. Gaganyaan is a national program where industry, academia, and other government organizations are collaborating with ISRO. We have also opened up the space doors for international cooperation is the endeavor. We are partnering with Russia, France, Canada, and many other countries on specific aspects of human space flight. In the long run, this program aims at sustained human presence in space. We hope to see many countries realizing their ambitions of human spaceflight through India's human space flight endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sivan, and Chairman of ISRO, and about these many missions which are in the planning phase. Thank you very much. And we are coming to the last intervention of this panel now by Gregor Wrochna, the President of the Polish Space Agency, which is with us here in the room. Please.
Thank you very much. It's a great honor for me to speak at this conference celebrating 60th anniversary of Yuri Gagarin flight. Gagarin has flown 1 year before I was born, but I remember as a young boy I followed very closely all Soyuz and Salyut missions. And today I lead the Polish Space Agency, Polsa for short. We are a relatively young agency, just 7 years old. We are under Ministry of Economic Development, Labor and Technology. Right now, we are preparing Polish National Space Program, designed to increase Poland's participation in space exploration, but also to make the space sector a strong branch of Polish economy. Just last week, our Deputy Prime Minister announced the industrial strategy of Poland with aviation and space sector as one of the key branches of economy of Poland. Next slide, please. So what is the space sector in Poland today? We work mainly through European Space Agency. We contribute to its budget about 50 million euro, and our main areas of interest is science program, science instrumentation, especially under the program products, space safety, Earth observation, and telecommunication program. Polish space sector has grown from roots of great astronomy heritage, historical ones, I mean Copernic, Hevelius, and the recent Wolszczan, who first discovered extrasolar planets, and Paczynski, who first proposed that mysterious gamma-ray bursts are coming from distant universe from other galaxies. Astronomy institutes became involved in space sector by producing scientific instruments, and now they are contributing to many ESA projects. Later on, several global companies set up their sections in Poland, and now we have about 30 small businesses involved in space mission subsystems, sensors, and satellite data. Some of them, they have already created the satellites placed on the orbit. The first one was named LEM, after Stanisław Lem, our great science fiction writer. Many people working in space sector today were inspired by Stanisław Lem novels. He was born just 100 years ago, therefore Polish parliaments announced this year as a year of Stanisław Lem, and in that sense also the year of future space exploration. We are also involved in European Space Surveillance and Tracking Consortium, EUSST. We have about 20 active sensors all over the world, including Australia and South Africa, and Polsa runs National Space Safety Operations Center. But our main activity in the near future will be building the National Earth Observation System. Already now, we use Copernicus system data, but we plan to have a national satellite constellation. Next slide, please. Our space heritage is not very big, but I would like to give you just some examples. Virgo System Company created infrared detectors in probe spectrometers for Curiosity Mars rover. Astronica designed a drilling mechanism for Mars InSight lander. The Center of Cosmic Research of Polish Academy of Sciences, CBK PAN for short, they are now working on instruments like a photometer for NASA IMAP mission. In the past, the same institute contributed to the Rosetta mission, creating a penetrator mechanism to probe the structure of a comet. A National Center for Nuclear Research created some crystals for gamma detector for polar missions studying radiation from gamma ray bursts. GMV and N7 space companies, they work on software development for probe-free missions. And now several companies and institutes work for the Athena mission on several mechanisms and subsystems. We also have a good experience of cooperating with Roscosmos, mainly through joint ESA and Russia programs. And examples are already mentioned today, ExoMars and Luna Resource 27. So we have not very extensive space heritage, but we have very ambitious plans. Of course, we count on international cooperation. And this conference, GLEX 2021, is for me a landmark for extending this cooperation even further. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President Wochner. You have shown that Poland is actually integrated in many different missions of planetary science and astronomy, and it's very interesting, and that you are starting to have small businesses. Very interesting. I have now very little time left, I have to say. Christian will always look at me. But we have very interesting questions. So we might actually go 5 minutes past 12, past 1, sorry, just in order to ask these really interesting questions which came in by Slido. And I wanted actually to start with Dmitry Rogozin. There is one question which was quite, I would say, relating to what you have said. You made a plea for space education. You made a plea for knowledge transfer from generations, and how important this is, and that, you know, the engineers which have this incredible knowledge, they need to transfer it to the younger generation. We had yesterday Next Generation Day, and also a lot of Russian young people here. And there is a question which relates to this subject, namely, how do you see ensuring the continuity of generations? Of course, every time it jumps then. Yes, sorry, I repeat. How do you see ensuring the continuity of generations in space research program, also international space research program, and is Roscosmos planning steps in this direction?
Сохранить преемственность можно только одним
Ensuring
способом.
continuity can be achieved if you are consistent, if you don't go to the extremes, don't change your mind all the time. When you act consistently, despite some things that can be trendy, despite the wish to imitate someone, the Russian media, who are quite active, are asking from time to time, why aren't we flying to the moon or to the Mars? Because someone else said that they are flying to the moon. Why aren't you flying to the moon? So that's the question of the Russian media. I always respond to this by saying, you have to be consistent. You have to be able to prioritize depending on the economic status of your country, depending on the budgets available to you, depending on the status of science and research in your country. Identify your goals and try to do better with less, and to gain the upper hand in this space race, or at least maintain your current position. This is a very demanding task, admittedly, and it requires a very unbiased, unemotional analysis of which way we need to go, which tools do we need to apply, and it also requires a very strong commitment, despite the things that you might hear from time to time. And only then, if you're consistent, if you're predictable, if you've chosen the right tools and reliable strategy, only then can you maintain the teams of your future space research, and only then can you transfer knowledge to the next generation. 1990s were times of turmoil in Russia, when everything that was created became unnecessary. I'm constantly traveling to Baikonur. I'm monitoring almost all the launches, and from my window I see the abandoned launch pads of Energia and Buran. And one of the test hangars contains Buran number 2, which is 95% ready. It was supposed to launch in 1993. And a next hangar contains Energia M rocket. And again, it's almost ready. It's almost complete. And every time I see those hangars, I remind myself that if you are preparing for a jump, you don't need to stumble. If you, once you've committed to something, you need to do this. And the situation that we have huge launch pads that are now just unnecessary and not used, and the Buran, which was designed, created, but was unnecessary, that was the tragedy. The tragedy not for the machines themselves, but for us. And that's my main takeaway. You need to be consistent. You have to maintain, keep, and cherish this knowledge and transfer it to those you consider your students.
Thank you very much, Director General. I have a next question to Vice Administrator Jan Wu. It is a question which I think is very typical for a conference like that, namely, how can international partners participate in China's space station, which you have just outlined? And will China be more open in its space projects and to support international cooperation? And I'm just wondering if this is not also a question which Simonetta could answer together after Mr. Wu, because I think there are already cooperations going on. Vice Administrator Wu, would you be ready to answer that question?
Thank you, Madam President. The media has paid a lot of attention to this lunar research station. Just now, Mr. Rogozin said that tomorrow we'll have this global network session to jointly publish a roadmap for this global lunar research station, and also the guide for partnership in this regard. So these are the version 1 of these two documents. So you will actually get a knowledge from the two documents we're going to publish tomorrow. So for this station, we are following the principle of win-win cooperation, and we hope that international organizations, scientists, and also the space industry will actively participate in it. We welcome you to participate in this program at different levels from different aspects or in various forms, including the designing, verification, and also the scientific exploration, and also space research, research on space science, and etc. And we also hope that the UNUSA will also, and also other space agencies and other international organizations can jointly participate and negotiate and even discuss this roadmap or this program.
Very much, and I would like to give the word to Simonetta because I think there are already collaborations going on concerning the Chinese space station.
Thank you, Pascal. Yes, indeed, we have an agreement running with the CMSA, the China Manned Space Agency, for international experiments, which we already selected together 2 years ago. It's quite an incredible number because there's 9 experiments selected on the basis of it was an announcement of opportunity that we, the Office for Outer Space Affairs, put forward. And it's done on a really competitive selection basis, and it's really based on very top level science. And all these teams are teams, the teams selected are teams already international per se, like all the main, let's say, experiments in space. So on this, we have a lot of information available on the website. And I believe I'm not disclosing too much if I say that currently we are negotiating a second round with CMSA, and in the next coming months we should be able to eventually issue a second announcement. For what? With CNSA instead the China National Space Administration, we have several agreements, or in any case discussions ongoing. And we are currently also working on moon missions, in particular on the Chang'e series of missions to see how scientific data can be internationally shared, but this is also something ongoing. Overall, so the discussions are ongoing. Overall, the collaboration with China through the agreements that we have and the participation of speakers and joint activities that we do is quite high. And also China is really a strong partner and participant and, let's say, convener also under the umbrella of the Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space.
Thank you very much, Simonetta, for this tour also of international cooperations with the United Nations. I want now address Hiroshi Yamakawa from JAXA. We have a question from the audience. After the success of the previous Hayabusa missions, and also you explained how the samples have been retrieved in December last year, can we expect a Hayabusa 3 mission?
Well, thank you very much for the great questions. Well, as I talked about the samples of Hayabusa 2 mission, which was collected from the asteroid Ryugu, it is now, the curation is now on its way, and now right now we are thinking about the next mission. And one of them is, as I already explained, MMX. It's a Martian Moon Explorer mission. And the reason why I call it the follow-on of HABS 2 is MMX is that because the target of the MMX mission is not landing on the surface of Mars, but collecting samples from the moon of Mars. I'm talking about the Phobos. So the same technology which was used for Hybris 2 can be utilized for MMX mission. So I think this can be thought as the third Hybris mission. And another mission which I didn't talk about today is called Destiny Plus. It will launch within several years from now on, but the target is also a small asteroid. But this time it will not collect samples by making rendezvous with the asteroid, but to collect a small dust which emanated or evaporated from the asteroid. So this is also a kind of the follow-on of HyPSAT mission. So these are the samples or two examples of the next generation HyPSAT mission. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, President Yamakawa. And I have a question for Dr. Sivan, Chairman of ISRO, from the audience. It is, will you be able to meet your goal of human launch, by August 22, given also the situation of the pandemic? And there was just a question coming in at the same time, which also asked about future female astronauts in India. So maybe this can be answered together.
Okay. It's a good, this is basically this, our aim was to have the launch before August 2022. That was our original aim, because the announcement from the government about this Gaganyaan program was to have a launch before the 75th anniversary of India's independence. That is falls on 15th August 2022. So before that, we should launch. We went ahead with full steam to meet that target. And at the same time, because of that, the pandemic, COVID pandemic, both first wave and second wave, they severely affected our program, because most of our industries in India is closed, where this realization of these systems are planned. But at the same time, and I expect, because of this one, I expect some delay because of that shift in that activities is going to happen. But still, we are trying our best to meet the target by doing the extra hours and extra work. We will try to achieve some. We'll try to meet the target, but I'm not sure that whether we'll be able to meet that right now. It may be too early for me to commit, but we are trying to target for mission by that time. Because many of that activity is already over. It is not that freshly we are prepared. We must note that before the government announced itself, something like about 10 years background, ISRO was working on human in space program. So most of the design part was over. And also that is regarding that astronauts training, we took the help of this Russia for training the astronauts. That way that training also over. Now that now we are taking the help of that the CNES, France, and other systems, again the Roscosmos, Russia, and NASA, and all these units. We are trying to get their help, support in some of the crucial activity and supply of the components. That way, we are not going to lose much time. But only because of this industry's closure in India, it's having impact on the realization of the hardware. But still, we will try to achieve try to target for the mission set by the government of India. Thank you very much. Female, regarding the female astronauts, yes, we will do, but that the first astronauts, whatever we selected, we identified, that is 4 astronauts, but all 4 are male. So maybe that the subsequent mission we will be able to take that female astronauts. The first mission will be with male only, because of that. The reason is that we have the selected from the astronauts candidates from the pool of that IAF, the test pilots. So in that category, where when we took that astronaut candidate, there is no lady. Only the gents were there. That's what reason for keeping the gents astronauts in the loop for the first mission. However, the second mission onwards, definitely we'll look for the sending female astronauts into space. Thank you, Madam.
Chairman Sivan. My last question goes to President Wrochna from the Polish Space Agency. You have highlighted quite some plans, for your agency and national space program in Poland. And I wondered if you could share very briefly, because the time is running out, a little bit more detail about these projects. Are you also really trying to foster, commercial space in Poland, and trying to participate to new missions? What are your major goals of this national space program?
Thank you very much. I think that the program could be summarized in 4 points. One is to create a national satellite constellation which could be used for Earth observation. The second point is to create a national Earth observation system. That means a set of tools to get data from the satellites, our own and Copernicus and other systems, and provide services and products for public administration, for everyone, in fact. The third point of the program would be developing different technologies, including launchers. We have some achievements in launchers for suborbital flights. And in this, we also want to develop our missions, maybe one national missions, several missions in cooperation with either ESA or bilateral with other agencies. And we believe that future missions is really a way to involve our new companies to get the space heritage, to develop the technologies. And finally, we want to further develop our space surveillance and tracking system. We have seen there was one question from the audience also related to the space debris. We are partner of the consortium of 13 countries today, more than 20 in the future, having more than 100 sensors worldwide, optical lasers and radars. And just to give an example, about a month ago, a Galileo satellite, one of the Galileo satellites changed its position because of the warning to avoid a collision, because of the warning from this very system. So those are the 4 points of our national program, and we hope that once we realize this program, our space sector will be indeed an important branch of our economy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President Wrochna. And we are a little bit time pressed. I want to thank all the distinguished speakers of this panel. Thank you very much, Director General Dmitry Rogozin, Vice Administrator Yan-Hu Wu, Director Simonetta De Pippa, President Hiroshi Yamakawa, Chairman Dr. Sivan, and President Wrochna. I thank you very much for your interventions. We have seen really large programs and interesting, ambitious programs to explore many solar system objects of all the different space agencies and organizations, robotically and with humans, and many examples of international cooperation. And I want to refer the audience, there were many questions concerning the future of the ISS and also cooperations concerning the International Lunar Research Stations. And this will actually be discussed tomorrow in different GNF Global Networking Forum sessions. So I please would ask you to ask the questions then or also in the second panel. I just want to say, I want to thank the audience for all your questions. Unfortunately, there are many and we could only take a few. And we are meeting again. Christian will just say that. I think I leave it to him. But I want to thank the audience and also the remote audience for participating. Christian will run you through the logistics now.
Yeah, thank you very much once again, Pascal and all the speakers. There is not a lot I can run you through other than tell you that we are 25 minutes late, but I think that just shows that there is great interest in this panel. So now you are now invited for a lunch break, and I would like to ask you to be back here again for the next start of the next panel at 2 o'clock. So there will be a short lunch break. Thank you very much and see you then.